lost to Iowa with a 42-15 victory over Indiana. You got to be feeling better. Big score. And yet that first half was a struggle, wasn't it?
Well, you know, Jim, in football, if you're not mentally ready to play, those things are going to happen to you. And it was hard for us this week coming off that Iowa defeat. And I was afraid something like this would happen, but I had no way to figure all those turnovers.
There were thoughts that, okay, maybe Michigan was down a little bit going into the game, but another theory was that they were a little anxious to get that Iowa game out of their system, and maybe they were anxious on the football field.
Well, that might have been, but we were a little ragged both offensively and defensively there in the first half. And I think it was just a carryover from the disappointment of the Iowa game. And you can't do that from week to week, not in this league.
Looking at that game, you had to cringe at the first 2 minutes.
Well, it wasn't real good, Jim. We were backed up here in this first drive and tried to get out, and Harbaugh throws to Gerald White for a first down, obvious first down, and drops the ball. Now that gives them the ball on the 19-yard line.
The defense comes up, though, and again, doesn't allow them in, which is, I think, a good thing mentally.
Played good defense here, stopped them, forced them to go to the field goal. Stoyanovich kicked the field goal, and they're up 3-0. So the turnover really gave Indiana 3 points.
Now here it is again, and this one had to really make you excited.
This one was worse than the first one. When you fumble the ball inside the 5-yard line, Jim, that is suicide. The very first play, they run an option play, and we play it very poorly, and they run in for the touchdown. And fortunately, they snapped the ball over the holder's hand for the extra point, and we trail 9-0 here. We come right back on this drive. Here is a pass out of the backfield to Gerald White and move the ball down for a score. This was a very, very important drive in this game. Now this play...
A little ad-lib.
Well, we work on this consistently.
You do?
The defense over-pursues. You tell Jim just to stop and run around the other way.
Is that really what happened?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. Jim goes back to pass here, does a great job down the middle. A spectacular catch by Eric Caddis, and he made several of those in the ball game, but that was a very, very big play. Come right back on the first play after the reception, run the power sweep, and Jamie goes in standing up, and we're back in the game.
And again, that drive was key because everybody was down 9-0.
That's right.
That one put you back in the game.
That put us back in the game, no question about it. Indiana comes right back out and roll out with Bradley and hit Lozier, the tight end, for a first down.
Bradley did present problems, and so did Bobby Howard here.
Bobby Howard on the draw plays did an exceptional job. This youngster's a strong runner and has really done a great job for Indiana this year. 3rd and 9, they choose to run the option. Fortunately, Scarselli comes off the backside after he was turned back there by Mesner, and they end up with a loss and forced to go to the field goal. And once again, Stoyanovich puts it through. So now Indiana leads 12-7 here in the second period.
I think it was good the way the offense responded when they were down, because it really hasn't happened before.
Right. We come out and Jim throws the out cut to Paul Jokic for a first down, and we're on the move here again. Back to pass again. The protection is good. Caddis on a delay picks up good yardage and another first down.
Did you know that you were going to throw as much in this game? Because you threw a little bit more than I thought.
Yes, we did. We thought we would have to, and we did. Here, once again, is down in the middle. Now, that is the same pass that he caught before on the first drive. And here's a 3rd and 2. Pitch to Jamie on the power sweep. And great block by Perriman, and Jamie goes in for the touchdown. With the score 13-12, it's not to our advantage just to kick the extra point, so we go for 2, and Jim throws in the flat to Jamie for the 2 points.
You really thought you needed that?
Well, you had to, because leading by 2 is not going to help you. A field goal put them ahead. This way, at least, you're going to make them go for the field goal just for the tie, and that's exactly what they did before halftime. They moved the ball down effectively into field goal range and then kicked the field goal to tie us at halftime.
Bradley is good because he provides that running threat too, doesn't he?
Of the quarterbacks that we play in the conference, he is the best runner. I'm talking about the passing quarterback, not Fogy of Minnesota. But nevertheless, they kicked the field goal and we go in at halftime 15-15. And Jim, overall, it was a horrendous first half for us. The turnovers were just put us in a terrible bind. And I didn't think the defense was playing as well as they're capable. And I didn't think the offense was doing very well because they turned it over.
Okay, we'll be back and we'll take a look at the second half highlights, which includes a lot of offense, including a record by Jim Harbaugh, single game passing.
Records are nice, I guess, but we're a team. Everybody plays together, and the only thing that counts to us is winning. I think the Iowa loss is in the back of my mind, and it's in the back of the minds of the whole team probably. And we were thinking about that instead of thinking about Indiana and what we had to do to win the game. Coach Bo told us, he told us, get off the Iowa game, leave it alone, think about this game. We have 4 more games to go, and we got to win these games if we want the championship.
One of the biggest comments I heard after the Indiana game was, what did Schembechler say at halftime to those guys? And a lot of people felt you must have read them the riot act, but I get the impression listening to Jamie that maybe you weren't so stern.
Well, Jim, I don't think we ought to discuss what goes on at halftime, other than you make a lot of adjustments. But I did talk to them a little bit and encourage them to do better the second half.
Encourage them to do better, huh? Well, whatever you said, it certainly got the job done, because in the second half, what an offensive performance you put on.
Well, we played pretty well and scored every time we had the ball, except the end of the game there. But Harbaugh here throwing to Jokic for a big gainer down to the 20-yard line. Unfortunately, in this first drive, we didn't quite get the ball in and were forced to go to the field goal. Mike Gillette kicks it through, and we're on top 18-15.
When the offense did move the ball a little bit there, did you feel a little better?
Yes. Once the offense started to move, I knew we'd be in pretty good shape because the defense would tighten up the second half. You could count on that. Here's an off-tackle play, and Jamie breaks out of there and runs very well.
You, of course, taught him that spin move.
I haven't taught him a lot about running, Jim. He kind of came to us naturally like that. Jim did a great job throwing this ball to Caddis. Unfortunately, they blitzed in the back front side there right in his face, and he threw the ball real well and get it to Caddis.
And again, you said the defense would pick up, and they did.
This is 3rd and 2, and when you want a big play, this guy usually comes through and delivers, and Mike Hammerstein throws him for a loss on the option play and forces him to kick. And we come back, and Jamie finds a big hole and comes out of there, and got to tighten up those jerseys so they can't grab that jersey from behind him.
Well, he's so small that you can tackle him from the jersey, I guess.
Right. Jamie comes out here on a power sweep into the sideline, picks up 10 more yards for a first down. We're starting to block better, Jim, and execute a lot better.
And did you feel the attitude change, the way the team was playing together?
This is the draw play, and Gerald White gets the first down. Yeah, I think our offense caught fire in the second half and started to do the things they were capable of doing. Here's the option play. Great block by Eric Caddis. Nice block by Colasar here, and Gerald White powers his way into the end zone.
And that's the way the option's supposed to be run on the blackboard, isn't it?
Well, if you want to get the corner man knocked down and your wide halfback staying on the wide man there, once you pitch it out, you got a lot of room to run. Here, Eric Campbell gives us a good punt return here. Picks up good yardage deep into Indiana territory, and we're on the move again. Unfortunately, we pick up a first down or two, and then we get stopped again, forced to go to the field goal, and Mike Gillette puts it through.
I think you were impressed a little bit with Indiana, the way they played against you, even though you were putting it away here.
Indiana is a tremendously well-coached team. They're not quite as well endowed defensively as the rest of the teams that will play this year, but they are a good football team.
And here's a great interception
Andre
by Todd.
McIntyre got the tip, and his linebacker partner there, Todd Schulte, intercepted. Here's a power sweep. Thomas Wilshire running the ball, and Thomas got hurt on this play and almost hurt the drive here with fumbling the ball, but unfortunately they couldn't recover it before it went out of bounds. Here's the option play again. This is Phil Webb in there at tailback now, and he runs well for a first down to the 12-yard line.
It's nice to have a bunch of tailbacks when one goes down.
Well, we don't have very many, as a matter of fact. This is all we have. 5 backs going for us now, 2 at fullback and 3 at tailback. That's all we have. But Webb goes in on the option play to make it 42-15.
That's the final in the game. And after the game, I heard you talk a little bit about a lesson being learned in this game. And you talked about the fact that you can't go into every Big Ten game. You've got to be mentally ready, or somebody's going to come up and get you.
Well, the disappointment of the Iowa game always carries over to the next game. You always want to get into the next game, get a victory under your belt, and get that thing behind you. If you go in tentative because you keep thinking about that loss, you're going to make the mistakes that we made in the first half. Not that we were down. It isn't anything like that, but it's just hard to come back after a defeat like that, where you battle hard and you get to kick a field goal with a couple seconds left. It was a tough defeat.
And it's more for you as a coach mentally preparing kids, because technique-wise and strategy-wise, you got it all figured out.
Well, the problem is that when you try to get them to forget about the Iowa game, it's hard for you to forget it yourself, and that's where the problem comes.
Double trouble. Coming up, the NCAA's toughest penalty yet. Don't go away. Recruiting violations in college athletics have become, sadly enough, a fact of life. Because of this, educators across the country have urged the NCAA to get tougher with the violators, and they have. Following a communique from the college presidents expressing great concern over this,
must be fired. If you want a death penalty, death to the athletic director, death to the coach who violates the rules. That, to me, is the way you can end this thing real quickly.
Who does the firing then? Would it be the university president?
If they want to be a member of the NCAA comes to you and says, look, you're either going to have the death penalty or you have to get rid of the violators in your program. And then they will immediately do it. I can guarantee you that. But to me, it's an individual thing. But let's put the record straight. These coaches that have been in a position where they've had to cheat, there's been enough pressure on them that they think the risk is worth it. And that pressure comes from schools that fail to realize that you can't win every game that you play. And we got to start to judge these programs on the basis of what is right academically. Are they doing a good job with the students there? Is it a disciplined program? Are the players getting something out of it? And there's got to be more involved than just wins and losses. It's tough for administrators to accept that. But in my opinion, that's what they're going to have to do.
We will be back. We will have more on the death penalty in another part where we do more interviews with the people you just saw. Stay with us now. We've got a scouting to deal with.
Illinois is in the race. They've only lost 1 game to Purdue, and they've beaten Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin. So they're in the race. And they've got a tremendously talented team, and we're playing in Champaign. So it'll be tough.
They're a little up and down, though, this year. Does that make a difference?
Well, I think they were up and down early. They lost to Southern Cal and Nebraska early. And since that time, I think they played pretty good football. They were upset at Purdue. And other than that, they've beaten Ohio State, who is really one of the powers in the league.
You mentioned it a little earlier. You play down in Champaign at Memorial Stadium. Let's just put it this way. You're not a folk hero down there in Champaign-Urbana, and it'll be loud. Do you have any idea that...
What is this folk hero business?
I don't know. I just get the feeling there's some Illinois...
They don't like me.
The Illinois faithful don't like you too much.
Well, there are probably a lot of cities around the league where I won't win any popularity.
Will you change in the audible system? Because you mentioned that about loud stadiums.
Well, we don't know how we'll go yet, Jim. It just depends, and maybe we'll have a different system to do it. But there is a handicap when you play in stadiums like that. It's strange, though, because of we have the largest crowds, and yet the nice thing about our crowd is that they respect the opponents when they come to the line of scrimmage. I wish they did that in other places in the league.
We'll see if they do.
Where danger dwells.
Here, stopped them, forced them to go to the field goal. Stoyanovich kicked the field goal, and they're up 3-0. So the turnover really gave Indiana 3 points.
Now here it is again, and this one had to really make you excited.
This one was worse than the first one. When you fumble a ball inside the 5-yard line, Jim, that is suicide. The very first play, they run an option play, and we play it very poorly, and they run in for the touchdown. And fortunately, they snapped the ball over the holder's hand for the extra point, and we trail 9-0 here. We come right back on this drive. Here is a pass out of the backfield to Gerald White and move the ball down for a score. This was a very, very important drive in this game. I would defeat, and I was afraid something like this would happen, but I had no way to figure all those turnovers.
There were thoughts that, okay, maybe Michigan was down a little bit going into the game, but another theory was that they were a little anxious to get that Iowa game out of their system, and maybe they were anxious on the football field.
Well, that might have been, but we were a little ragged both offensively and defensively there in the first half. And I think it was just a carryover from the disappointment of the Iowa game. And you can't do that from week to week, not in this league.
Looking at that game, you had to cringe at the first 2 minutes.
Well, it wasn't real good, Jim. We were backed up here in this first drive and tried to get out, and Harbaugh throws to Gerald White for a first down, obvious first down, and drops the ball. Now that gives them the ball on the 19-yard line.
The defense comes up, though, and again, doesn't allow them in, which is, I think, a good thing mentally.
Played good defense.
Back from their loss to Iowa with a 42-15 victory over Indiana. You got to be feeling better. Big score. And yet that first half was a struggle, wasn't it?
Well, you know, Jim, in football, if you're not mentally ready to play, those things are going to happen to you. And it was hard for us this week coming off that